If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today. It's time for me to be back on the market. And not just on the market, the sexual market. This is not about trafficking, I promise. This is about your sexual market value. Red pill video that is old now, and I only just found out about it. I'm gonna go over it now myself, so.
7 out of 10. That's the rating I gave to the YouTuber Chang Nation based on his face attractiveness. And on giving this rating, I'd never received more.
Not gay, by the way, if you are doing it analytically. This guy is very, very hot. He is super attractive. Let me give you the statistical analysis as to why this man is just so goddamn cute.
Backlash from angry people in the comments saying my rating was way off. No offense, but personally I think you are a 6 at face, and you are so short makes you a 4.5 in my opinion. Harsh, but these are my opinion. Dude, you are a manlet, you should have gotten a 2.1 out of 10. He's wrong, you're a 5. If this guy's a 7, then I'm a 9 lol. Bro, I'm a girl, trust me, you're a 5. You get the idea. Anyway, what most of the people who wrote these comments likely didn't understand is that there's a big difference between your face rating and your SMV rating. Your face rating, as it says in its name, is just how attractive.
There's layers to it.
While SMV stands for sexual market value, which is your overall score including all factors of attractiveness. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to calculate both. First of all, interestingly, your face rating is part of and the biggest component of your SMV.
Whoa, the pieces are just falling right into place, aren't they, man? Woo!
In addition to lots of other variables that I'll explain later. This is why I believe there's always lots of confusion. Most people can estimate roughly what their face rating is from comparing themselves to these faces. In contrast, when it comes to SMV, because there's so many variables, people's estimations are often way off and can be as much as 2 to 3 points away from their true mark. So, to eradicate this confusion, let me introduce you to my formula of how to calculate your own.
So this is another reason why you want me as president. My new law, incels will no longer be allowed to have computers.
The opposite of eradicating confusion. But trust me, the method is simpler than it looks and there's only a few calculations. The level of detail though is quite comprehensive.
Wait, please do not tell me I have to do math.
But it'll be worth it as this will give you the most accurate score, the only score you'll ever need. So to quickly explain, we have a bunch of variables of attractiveness at the top of this chart. So face, height, body, money, P-length, IQ. The scores are filled in, then
what's P-length?
Weightings are applied, some calculations are performed to give your weighted total, then geometrically averaged SMV. Then finally, at the bottom, 2 more factors are taken into account, adjusting your original rating to give your final SMV. So, how do we fill out the chart? Well, you get a score out of 8 for each of the top variables using this mapping. So if you're in the top 1% for anything, you score yourself an 8. If you're in the top 10%, you get a 7.
What if I'm delusional and think that I'm in the top 1% for everything, so I just rate myself really good? Does that then mean that's my final value?
Top 25, 6, and so on. Starting with height, here is the height distribution of men between the ages of 18 and 20 in the US, and now here is the height converted to ratings chart. As you
Okay, I'm definitely shorter. Oh no! Oh, I only got a 3.5 in the score. I'm only like 5'8". I'm a shrimpy little dude.
You can see, looking at this one, the height 5'11"
Forget this, man. I have no hope. I'm just gonna give up.
is slap bang in the middle. No, not 5'10" or 5'9", because younger guys are slightly taller than the older generation. I myself am 5'10", so I'd get a rating of 4.5. Next up is body. Now, it was a little tricky to find an objective rating system for body, because there are...
I really don't think I'm ready for the reveal yet. but okay.
Lots of different variables that go into what makes a man's body attractive. So in the end, I settled for a combination of body fat percentage and BMI.
And believe me, I had to look at a lot of topless men in a very heterosexual way.
Reason being is that body fat percentage gives a good indication of how lean a man is, then BMI will give an indication of how bulked out you are given your height. So first, here is the body fat percentage chart for 2 types of tests and 2 age categories. I've then averaged them into one to ensure we are using the widest amount of data. So this is the row.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely 8. Yep, that's me.
I've also provided images at the bottom which you can compare yourself to. Importantly, you should only give yourself the corresponding rating if you are at least equal, if not leaner than the provided image. So, if you have the same or greater definition than this guy, and you believe your body fat percentage is 9.3% or lower, you score yourself an 8, that puts you in the top 1%. So, that's just
Yes! I'm in the top 1%.
body fat percentage. Now factoring in BMI too, because as you might have been able to predict, using body fat percentage alone has one major caveat. Skinny guys. Guys who have low
That's more like me.
due to their lack of muscle. And this is reflected in their BMI. Just a quick example, if I were to ask you which man on the screen now has a leaner physique, you'd say the man on the right. But if I were to ask you which one is more attractive, in the eyes of women, you'd almost definitely say the man on the left because of his
Oh, well then that's what I meant. I'm the guy on the left. That's what I meant. Yeah, that looks just like me.
increased muscle mass. So to factor in BMI, which you can find on this chart by plugging your height and weight, if you're already beneath 22% body fat, and your BMI is between 21 and 22, then subtract half a point from your original score. If it's 19 to 20, then subtract a full point. If it's 17 to 18, subtract 2 points. And if it's 16 or less, subtract 3 points. Now, just to clear up a slight confusion, you might be wondering why people with so-called healthy
Okay, so I would be still in the healthy range, roughly. Yeah.
BMIs are getting points deducted. Well, the reason is because this colour scheme is mostly rubbish. See, I fall exactly here on the chart, in the healthy range. This is what I look like year-round, and I get called on the slim side occasionally. Meanwhile, my friend Men's Maxing falls over here on the chart.
Meanwhile, my buddy, who I just happen to have a topless photo of, totally not gay. We have the most heterosexual crumpet time.
Actually, in the overweight category. But almost all people would agree
Category.
his physique is significantly better than mine. So, ignore the colour scheme, I believe my own grading system is better. Anyway, that's it for body, now moving on to finances. For this, we'll be using net worth and yearly income.
So I'm at the 8 again. Damn.
The data is again taken from 18 to 29-year-olds. And for your rating, you should choose whichever you have greater of either two. Now, some of you might point out that for the bottom 30% or so of the chart, people's net worths are actually negative. Asking the question, how can this even be possible? One word, debt. The equation of net worth is the value of everything you own minus any debts you have. And there's nothing saying this result can't be negative. In fact, for many of you watching, it's likely you've either been to or are currently at university, which requires taking out huge loans to finance the endeavour. This is why your net worth might be negative. However, to stop this from skewing the ratings, this is why I'm telling you should pick the best out of either of these two. Because many people who went to uni might have negative net worths at the moment, but their incomes may show the opposite, and it's only a matter of time until they catch up. 90% of the top 1% earners have a degree, while only 40% of the broader population does. Next, we'll be moving on to P size. I know some of you are used to using the imperial system and others metric, so you can find your score here in this chart. Finally, let's take a look at IQ. Be careful not to flatter yourself here.
Wow. The part about pea size was really short.
Recently, I released this poll on the community tab of my channel, and unsurprisingly, way more people overestimated their score than underestimated. So, I ask you to be true to yourself, and once you've got this score, you should have ratings for every single variable. And now,
Just rate everything in your life.
we can put those ratings onto our chart on this line here, and the next step is factoring our weightings. Weightings are given because obviously some factors such as face will affect your SMV a lot more than other factors such as IQ. Now, the weightings are factored in slightly different to how you might think. We are going to raise each of your scores to the power of the weight, not multiply. So face is raised to the power of 5, height is cubed, body squared, and so on. Yes, you will need a calculator for this.
And I'm out. Mentally checked out. I am now playing Minecraft in my head.
Then, once you've done this, you're going to multiply all of these numbers together for your weighted total, which should give you a large number with roughly 7 to 13 zeros. Then finally, you're going to take the 15th root, which was taken from the total weight here, of the big value, which will leave you with your geometrically averaged SMV. If you've done things...
So for you to realize that you are actually the lowest and loserest of all the men, you're going to need to do this big algebraic equation here, okay?
Correctly, you'd see a number between 1 and 8. Anyway, the reason we did all that multiplying and rooting, instead of working out the average the regular way by adding everything together and dividing by the total weight, was so that we could get the geometric mean instead of the arithmetic mean. What this basically helps out with is if you're lagging behind in a crucial area but doing good in all the others, your SMV will be lower compared with if you had an even distribution of your ratings. For example, for the guys shown on the screen now, we'd expect man 1 scored...
It's actually sad that somebody put this much thought and time into this. They literally sat down and they were like, let us write out this equation. Thomas Edison just inventing new levels of delusion.
...to be lower as he is lacking in a crucial area. However, when we calculate their scores using the arithmetic weighted mean, this does not show the difference as they seem to be on the same level. But using the geometric weighted mean, this does show the man who has the 5s across the board has a better score. And this makes sense from a
Which means do I take to not have to do all the math?
logical point of view too, as women will be less likely to reject him as he's not being brought down by any one factor. Anyway, the final part of calculating your SMV is factoring in both ethnicity and location. Because, as controversial as this sounds, it is true that these factors impact how attractive you are perceived in the dating market. If you are white, add 0.5 points to your score. If you are black or Latino, your score will remain the same. If you are Indian or Asian, subtract 1 point from your score. As for
What the f*** is going on? What? Indian and Asian minus 1 point? You lose a point. Why? You're Asian.
As for location, if you are in the West, not in college/uni, subtract 1 point from your score. If you're in the West at college, add 0.5 points. If you're in South America, add 0.5 points. If you are in Southeast Asia, add a point to your score. Anyway, this should leave you with your final result. This is your SMV. It shows roughly what your dating value is compared to the other men around you. So if you scored an 8, you are likely in the top 1% of men. 7 means top 10%, 6 top 25, you get the idea. And to show you how accurate this system is, I'll show you what my SMV is using this formula. So I'm roughly a 6 in the face, but...
And I am the first one to have a negative SMV.
It's probably closer to a 5 than 7, so we'll say 5.5. I'm 5'10", which gives me a height score of 4.5. My body fat percentage is consistently 12%, which correlates with a 7. However, I am penalised by half a point from having a BMI
Plot twist, this entire video he made because he actually just wanted to put his topless pic up.
of 22, which means I'm slightly on the slim side, so overall my body is a 6.5.
You're a ginger. You gotta lose points for that, right?
My net worth is just barely in the top 10% for 18 to 29-year-olds, which gives me a financial score of 7. For P-length, I'll take this out as it's private information. However, I will show what my score would be at various sizes so you can see how my score would be affected. This does...
When I fantasize about really big man, I tell you, this is what my score would be. This guy. What in the hell?
mean the total weight drops to 13. For IQ, I'm barely outside the top 1% with a score of 133, and yes, I did take an official test in London last year, so I get a 7.5 for that. Now we raise each of these scores to the power of the ratings giving us these figures, we multiply these together, then take the 13th root as that is our total weight, and this gives me an initial SMV score of 5.726. And as promised, for those that are curious, this is how my score could be affected at various P sizes. Here, you can really see what I mean, where the lower your score is in a crucial area, it leads to greater deductions to your SMV as a whole. You can see the gaps getting exponentially bigger the lower your rating is. I gain half a point from this, and another half point from being at a university campus. This leaves my final SMV as 6.726.
He arbitrarily gives himself more points. If you drive a Honda Civic, you add 2 points. Luckily for me, I drive a Honda Civic.
Which I'm sure many of you watching would agree is quite accurate. So that's me, and now it's your turn. If you'd like to see how you yourself stack up in comparison but don't know how truly attractive your face is, then you can have my guidance by purchasing a completely unbiased and honest face rating for just $5.
Literally $5, man, to be told you're ugly. Could you imagine? Luckily for me, I have low IQ and don't know how to do math, so I don't know what my SMV is. I'm also not desperate and insecure and have no real desire to actually find that out. Because I don't want to see how low it's going to be.